In the last class we studied for power plants, that is hydro power plant, thermal power plant and bio power plant, right? So we left with one, that is wind energy, which we will study in today's class. Student, what actually the wind is? Now we will say the flow of air is nothing but wind. What makes the air to flow? And the flow is different from different places. So for all these things, let us see the answer. Let us understand this through an activity or an explanation. So let us consider two places. Let us consider region 1 and region 2. Just imagine. So in the region 1, we will get direct sunlight to that particular atmosphere. Whereas in region 2, no sunlight, so the weather is cool. Okay. So here what happens, we will get in the region 1, the direct sunlight will come and the air will start to become warm. Once the air starts to become warm, the air will move upwards. So the air will move upwards by creating low pressure. Now what about the second region? Here the air is fresh and cool, so it doesn't flow upwards, and here it will create high pressure. So now we got the 2 points where the air is warmer, there low pressure will create. The way the air is cool, and there we will get high pressure. Now if we define the wind is nothing but the flow of air in horizontal way. So wind can be defined as the flow of air in horizontal way. So here what happens, the wind starts to flow from high pressure to low pressure. So the wind always flow from high pressure to low pressure. I think you understood how wind will flow. Now I will take the same example. So for example, here we have a sea, and here we have a sea shore. So what happens in the daytime? So what in the presence of sunlight only. So we have sea and we have sea shore. So what happens in the daytime? The land gets warmer quickly than the sea. See, the seashore, the land get warmer faster than the sea. So since it's warmer, here we get low pressure and here we have a high pressure. So again wind starts to move from seashore towards sea. It's happening in a daytime in the presence of sunlight. So what happens in the daytime? It is in the presence of sunlight. Wind moves from land to sea. That is seashore to sea, right? Now just imagine what happens in the night time. That is the absence of sun. In the absence of sun, the land which is warmed will be quickly become cool than the sea. So the temperature will become cool in the seashore quickly than the sea. So now here what happens, in the sea the high pressure will create and in the land we will get low pressure. So in the night time what happens? The night time, wind flow from sea to land. So here we understood how wind flows. Wind always from high pressure to low pressure, and we know how low pressure and high pressure creates it. So you should understand, because you should understand this process to define what is wind energy. Okay. So now based on this explanation, let us state what exactly wind or wind energy. Okay. Carefully understand the statement. It is a natural phenomenon caused by unequal heating of the land mass and water bodies by solar radiation, and generates air movement and causes wind to flow. So even though it's a big statement, you should understand and you should rewrite this one. Okay, based on the explanation which I gave earlier, you can state this. See, it is a natural phenomenon caused by unequal heat heating of the land mass, that is what I explained as a land and a sea, in the presence of solar radiation, that is in the presence of sun and in the absence of sun. So caused by unequal heating of land mass and water bodies by solar radiation generates air to move. So it generates air to move in which direction? From high pressure to low pressure, and causes wind to flow. Okay. See students, all the words which I am underlined here, they are important. If you use only these words, then only your statement is completed. Okay. So understand the first concept, then try to convey the message or the theory what we understood in the form of statement. Okay. So it is easy that wind energy, it is natural phenomenon caused by unequal heating of the land mass and water bodies by solar radiation, generates air movement and causes wind to flow, and this is nothing but wind energy. So here wind energy can be harned by kinetic energy. So it is nothing but controlled. Okay. So wind energy controlled by its in the form of its kinetic energy. So we know that the wind energy, is controlled by rotating structures. It is controlled by rotating structures known as windmills. All what we saw, the big fan-like structures are nothing but windmills. So hence wind energy is controlled by the rotatory structures called as windmills. So first we understood about wind energy. Now we know what is windmill. So now we will study about the windmill. As I told earlier, the wind energy is harnessed in the form of kinetic energy. So in all the civilization times, they were using this wind energy for different purposes. Now let us see uses of kinetic energy generated by wind energy. So this was using the earlier time, not only the before also, but now mainly used only for the generating electricity. So in the earlier time they used for the following reasons. See, to lift water from the well. So these fan-like structure windmill, they were using to lift the water from well or to lift the water, and this is used in water lifting pumps. So both are same. So this technique was used for water lifting purposes. Next is to run the floor mills. So in the field of agriculture they used to use to run the floor mills. So these are the uses of kinetic energy usually in the earlier times. So now what is the main uses of this one? It is nothing but to generate electricity. So this is the main use worldwide using from the windmills. So as I told, to generate electricity, the windmills are used. Now here also the same principle to generate electricity as we studied for the other power plants. That is nothing but the turbine wheels rotated the generator, hence the electricity is start producing. So here also we use the turbine, by rotating it in a generator we will get electricity.
Let us study the working principle of wind power plant. The important job of converting wind energy into electrical energy is done by the wind turbine of a wind power plant. Let's see how. Unlike the fans, turbines use the wind and generate electricity. The hub and blades are called turbine or rotor. Behind the turbine, there is an engine house called as nacelle. The nacelle is mounted on a tower in order to get more wind energy. The wind will cause the blades to rotate. Due to this, the rotor starts moving. As the rotor is connected to the main shaft, it spins the generator, because of which electricity is produced. This electricity can then be transferred by using transmission or distribution lines to homes, industries, schools,
structure which are placed in a higher place with some rigid support. Right, so this is what windmill looks like. And observe, these windmills contain a huge blades. So these blades are connected to turbine, so which will rotate when they hit with the high speed of wind, and they will produce or they will generate electricity. So this is about structure of windmill. So you can write only 2 points under this. So let us see what is wind energy farm. See, if we have only one windmill, the output of that windmill is quite less. That means it can't be used for commercial purposes. So they should place the number of windmills in some particular area. So the output of all the windmills can be used for commercial purposes. And we can observe a number of windmills in particular area, and that is called as wind energy farm. Wind energy farm. Okay. So in India, when we see in our India, a larger wind energy farm is located in Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu. Okay. So understand, and you should remember, in our country, India, a larger wind energy farm is located in Kanyakumari in India. And when it comes to the overall output from the windmills, Germany takes first position and India is with 5th rank when it comes to production of electricity from windmills. So the first place is Germany and the 5th place is India. And one more is, you heard about Denmark, right? Denmark. It is a country which is called as country of winds. Called as country of winds. This is because in this country almost 25% of electricity is produced only through windmills. Hence it is called as country of wind. So you should remember Denmark. Denmark is called as country of wind. That is because 25% of electricity produced only through windmills. Okay. And as I told, the blades will rotate only when the wind comes. So the minimum speed to rotate those blades are 15 km per hour. So the wind should flow 15 km per hour. Then only the huge blades in that windmill will rotate. So this is also important. Remember, the minimum wind speed should be 15 km per hour. So these are some important points about windmills. Now, as I told, as we are studying as earlier also, each power plant has its advantages as well as disadvantages. Right, now let us study what are the advantages of windmills and disadvantages of windmills. Let's see the advantages of windmill. So there are only 3 advantages. The first one is eco-friendly, which is most and must and should important. It should be environmental friendly, there is no pollution at all. And the next one is efficient source of renewable energy. So it can be used by renewable. No recurring expenses for the production of electricity. Once if we place the windmill, then we won't get frequently you won't get any expenditure for the repairing purpose or anything. So we'll get only one time expenditure, that is at the beginning. So we won't get any frequent expenditure for this. So these 3 are the important advantages of windmill. Now let us see about disadvantages. Look at the first disadvantages, that is large area. As I told, the output of only one windmill doesn't give any uses. So the output of several number of windmill only gives commercial uses. So to plant several number of windmills, it will consume large area. So to make windmill farm, we will require large area. So the first disadvantage is it requires large area. And next is wind speed. As I told, the minimum wind speed should be required to rotate those blades. That is what? 15 km per hour. But the wind is not flows all the time in the same speed. So due to that, it is difficulty to rotate those blades because of difficulty to get same speed in all the time. Okay, so this is minimum. So we'll get proper output only when the speed is more than 15 kilometer. If we get only less below 15 kilometer, no use. And 15 kilometer per hour, this is something the basic. From this only it will start to rotate. So wind speed. And the disadvantage is backup cells. Whenever the speed of wind is less than 15 km per hour, the wind won't rotate. So at that time, they should keep some backup cells to rotate those winds. They can't leave that for not rotating for long time. Okay, so they require backup cells. And initial cost. In the advantages I told, we won't get recurring expenditure. That means for the initial cost, that means the first establishment of windmill only cost very much. So that when the cost is high, only at the beginning stage it is difficult to plant everywhere. So initial cost is very high. Next, maintenance of blades. So this is what exposed to atmosphere, that is blades. Since these blades are exposed to sunlight, rain, storms, cyclone, etc., we need to keep those blades as a proper, so hence maintenance will get a high cost. So this comes under disadvantages. Now we know about what is wind energy. Later on we know what were the uses of those kinetic energy, and later on how the structure of this windmill, that is big like a fan structure, and it is placed in a high places with some rigid support. And what is the minimum speed required to flow these blades. Next we understood that is which one is called as country of winds, that is Denmark, and in India we have a larger windmill farm in Kanyakumari, that is Tamil Nadu, and the output of electricity, the output production of electricity from windmill, Germany takes first place and India takes 5th position. And these are some advantages and disadvantages of windmill. So for here we have finished 4 power plants, right? So next we have, next topic is alternate or non-conventional source of energy. So let us take only introduction today. Look at the topic, alternate or non-conventional source of energies. Alternate source of energy. So in this technology world, day by day for human being, the need of energy, the demand for sources of energy is more and more. So to lead the life for today's humankind, they require more and more sources of energies. But we know the fossil fuels are only 3 forms, that is coal, natural gases and petroleum, that is oil, right? So and those natural resources are reserved, that is not renewable, they can't be renewable. If once we finish, then that is finished. So for that purpose, we should look for alternative source of energy and to fulfill our needs also, as we are looking for more and more sources of energies. So let us see why alternate energy is important in today's life. So the reasons are, one is that we know that from fossil fuels we will get pollution. So to avoid the pollution, we can use non-conventional source of energy. And one more point is, we are in a pressure that if we keep using the fossil fuels, one day that will came to end. So to overcome that pressure and to make the fossil fuels for last long for few more years, we can use sources of non-conventional energies. And the first one more important reason is we know that fossil fuels are reserved in earth, and only if we use in limited wise we can make them to live for few more years. So if we keep using in a large amount, then we can see the end for fossil fuels. So to avoid that also, we can go for alternate source of energies. Now overall, let us see what are the reasons. The fossil fuels reserves in the earth are limited, which may get exhausted soon if we use them at the current rate. reduce the pressure on fossil fuels, making them last for much longer time, and to reduce the pollution level to save the environment. So these three reasons acts for the alternative source of energies. Now we know why alternative source of energy required, and now let us see what are the different form of alternative source of energies. So there are these 6 energies: solar energy, tidal energy, wave energy, ocean thermal energy, geothermal energy, and nuclear energy. So in the next class, let us study in depth about each of these energies. So today, understand what I thought and write your classwork as well as answer all the homework questions. Thank you.